Okay, so the first thing I've done is I've graphed the dots. So there are 5 dots on the graph because there are 5 coordinates here. So we know X is temperature and we know Y is number of customers. Okay, so what we need to do now is find, so the trend, what is the trend? What's happening here? Well, temperature is increasing. It starts with 0 and it goes 10, 20, 30, 40. It's increasing. You can see the dots are moving to the right. So this is the first dot, second dot, third dot, fourth dot, fifth dot. The dots are moving to the right. Okay. Now, are they moving up or down as they're going to the right? Well, you can see the customers are starting there, up there, goes a little bit down, but then it goes back up. So for the most part, number of customers is also going up. Okay. So as the temperature is increasing, the number of customers is increasing. Okay. It's got a positive correlation. Okay. They're positively correlated. So if we were to draw one line, we couldn't connect all the dots. We couldn't. That's just not going to happen. We can't connect all the dots with one line. I have one line right here. I could not connect all the dots with one line. But what I could do is create what's called a line of best fit, as you hear my dog in the background. Okay, so what the line of best fit is it's going to try to represent all of the dots. So I have to figure out, is my line going to look like, how is it going to look? Is it going to look like that, where is it going to be? Well, I think the best one kind of looks something like that. Okay, the best line kind of looks something like that, where these 2 dots are hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those 2 dots to figure out what the line of best fit is. So if you remember the equation for line of best fit, or for any line, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope rate of change, b is the y-intercept, which is the starting value when x equals 0. So the first thing we need to do here is find the slope. So what are we going to do to find slope? Well, we are going to use those 2 dots. The first dot is at 25.55. The second dot is at 60.85. So what I'm going to do is, remember, slope is rise over run. So I have to figure out what's the rise here. Well, how many am I going up? Let's see. So if I'm going to go up, I've gone too far high. Not high enough. I need to get to that level what the other dot is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up until I'm on the same level. So I'm obviously going up, so it's going to be positive. Positive rise. Okay? So with a positive rise, I'm here. So right here, I'm at about 55. So I go up to 85. Okay, so 55 to 85, that's plus 30. Okay, now I'm going to go to the right. So how far do I need to go to the right to get to that other dot? Well, here I'm at 25. Over here I'm at 60. So 60 minus 25 makes 35. Okay, so this is our slope, 30 over 35. Well, we can reduce that. You can divide them both by 5. So if we reduce that, we get 6 over 7. That's going to be our slope. Okay, so let me go down here. So we know y equals, the slope is 6 over 7x plus, we don't know what that number is going to be. We know it's the starting value when x equals 0. And x, we know, is temperature. So from our line, it looks like it's somewhere around here. So somewhere between 35 and 40. Okay, but we need to get a better idea. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use just, I don't know what it is, so I'm going to use a B. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I know that there's 2 dots on that line. I know that this dot's on the line, and I know this dot's on the line. Okay, that's what I use to find my slope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of them. I'll use the first one, 25, 55. We know that 25 is x, 55 is y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute, because I have an x and a y here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rewrite it. Okay, but instead of x, I'm going to substitute 25 because we know that's x. And I'm going to substitute 55 because we know that's y. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply. So I have to multiply these guys. I'm going to try to solve for b. I'm going to try to get b by itself. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to change 6/7 to a decimal. Okay, you're going to try to change 6/7 to a decimal. So let's see here. Let me get my decimal. Okay, so 6/7, 0.857, 0.857. Okay, so I'm going to change that to 0.857 times 25. Okay, so let me go back to my calculator. 0.857 times 25, 21.425. Okay, now I still have to solve for b. So I have this guy here that I have to get rid of. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. We've done this many, many times in class. Okay, so the only thing I have left is positive b. So 55 minus 21.425. So 55 minus 21.425. And I get 33.58, we'll say. Okay. That is that's where it crosses the y-axis. That's where it crosses right there. Okay, so that is my b. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this guy in there. Okay, so no longer do I have a b. I know that b is 33.58. Okay, so there is my equation. Okay, so now I have my equation. Okay, so I wrote it twice. You only need to write it once. The only difference is instead of 6/7 here, it's 0.857. So it might be easier because we're going to do some multiplying to use it as a decimal. Either one's okay. All right, so now what I have to do is, so we did number 1. So we just did number 1. Now we're going to do number 2. Number 2 says, based on your equation, predict the number of customers to visit the frozen yogurt shop, because the numbers come from the frozen yogurt shop, in the 2 hours after school for each temperature. So if the temperature is 85 degrees, which we don't have in our table, we don't have 85 degrees at all in here. In our table, we do not have 85 degrees. So let's say it was 85 degrees. How many would they expect to sell? Okay, how many customers would they expect to have? That's what they're asking. Well, we know that X is the temperature. How do we know that? Here, 2 ways. Here. Here. And how do we know that Y is our number of customers? Well, here and here. Okay, that's how we know. So anywhere we see X, that means temperature. Anywhere we see Y, that means customers. Okay, so I'm going to use this equation over here. I'm going to use the one that's in decimal. So again, if I see an X, that means temperature. If I see a Y, that means number of customers. So they give me, for letter A, they give me a number of customers, or sorry, temperature. They give me a temperature. So guess where that's going to go? It's going to go in for X. So Y equals, so this is letter A, Y equals 0.857, no longer X because they gave me temperature. So 85 goes in here. Let me change the color. Solve for Y. Okay, well, Y is already by itself, so all I got to do is do a little bit of math. So 0.857 times 85. $72.845 plus this 33.58 106.43, let's say. So that means Y equals 106.43. Well, Y equals, that's customers equals. So the number of customers I would expect is 106. Well, you can't have 0.43 of a customer. Okay, so since we don't have enough for 107, we'll just say 106 customers. Okay, letter B, 115, so on a hot day. Well, as temperature went up, number of customers went up. We said that earlier. So I would expect for 115, a hot day, I would expect a lot of customers at the frozen yogurt shop. Let's see. So we use the same equation. Instead of 85, though, it is not 85 degrees anymore. It is 115 degrees. Okay, I'm going to do the same math I did before, except now I'm going to multiply times 115. So 98.555 plus 33.58 132.14. Again, Y is customers. So you can't have 0.14 of a customer. So we don't have enough for 33, I should say. So we're going to say 132 customers for that guy. Okay. So the last one I want you to try on your own, and I'll put the answer on. So pause it right now, and then we'll get the answer. Okay, so for 10 degrees, I would expect 42 customers, the least amount. It's a cold day. So because it's a cold day, you're not going to expect that many customers to the frozen yogurt shop. Okay, and down here is where I got it. I just plugged in 10 for degrees, multiplied, added, and I got 42.15.